And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends. And as you have seen before, well, folks, the one topic that we're gonna get into, and folks, normally this is like a 90-minute, sometimes a 100-minute show. I'm gonna cut the show a little bit short today because Mrs. Boom is under the weather. She's battling a migraine, and I don't want to leave her alone too long. So we're gonna go about 60 minutes, give or take 75 minutes. We are going to be covering one topic, and the topic is going to be very, very pointed. It's going to have a lot of big opinions. We have Crispy Bomb joining us here today. Kay Asante should be here momentarily. Listen, we're going to be talking about the mismanagement at PlayStation Studios. And we have really come to the effect where I think people could now start asking or saying with full opinions, well, PlayStation has no games, right? Because they don't. They've canceled 9 of 12 gas games in the last 13 months. There's been no, pushback from the games media regarding it. There's been no rancid articles about how there's mismanagement. To make. And I was talking to Hargeet and Crispy in the green room to add salt to the wound. Well, Ted Price is leaving Insomniac Games, which he founded in 1994. And of course, we know the big buyout for $2.7 billion, which was, a million. I think. You know what? Actually, I have the story in front of me. I'll tell you right now, folks. It was probably one of the best purchases that's ever happened. It was in 2019, the acquisition from Sony. They paid $229 million. This was November 15th of 2019. And look, let's call a spade a spade. Insomniac Games have been carrying PlayStation and PlayStation Game Studios for years. Now, whether you like Spider-Man or you like Ratchet and Clank, or you like some of the things that they've done, again, I love those games, and I'm a big fan of Ted Price. It's sad to see him go, but it is starting to be a bit of a pattern, Hargeet Chani. Obviously, a week and a half ago, you had Shuhei Yoshida leave. Now it's Ted Price. A lot of people are calling or questioning as to what Herman Holst is doing at PlayStation and his handling of the gas game situation, how long it's going to take for them to actually recover or pivot into the single-player machine that they once were. I don't know, but we're going to have a lot to get into here. How you feeling, man? Welcome back.
Yeah, good. It's been an interesting week for Sony. It's been a lot of the last couple of weeks have been kind of not so great.
Yeah.
But look, there's still a dev direct tomorrow.
Yep.
There's gaming fun going on. We have a Nintendo Switch reveal that happened recently, so gaming wise things are good. Just maybe not so much for PlayStation for a little bit. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I mean, look, if there's one thing that we've learned about AAA development, the norm for many years prior to us coming into this generation, Crispy Bomb, has been 3 and 4 years of development. Sometimes on an occasion it was pushed to 5 because they needed to get some things done. Well, what we're starting to see is game development is now taking 5, 6, 7 years. And the question that we're going to be asking this evening is, how and when does Sony recover? Because, they only have so many studios. Almost all of their first-party studios, minus a few, were set onto this gas game path by Jim Ryan. They chased a trend, and they lost. Jim Ryan's gone. Shuhei Yoshida is now gone. Ted Price announces today he's retiring. There's not a lot of OGs left at PlayStation. And if they are taking this full stop momentum of gas game, this gas game ideology, and they full force stop it, these teams have to reset on projects. They have to now start pitching projects. The alarm should be sounding if you're a PlayStation fan. But how you feeling, man? Welcome back.
I really just had that thought, Boom. Think about this. So you're pivoting back to the way you were, technically, at least from what they're saying, in a way.
Yep.
Why are you getting rid of all the old guard? How does that make sense? We're talking about games that are like transcendent in a way to some people. Now, not for me. I'm not saying that, but it's like if you took Rod Ferguson out of Gear. Oh wait, interesting. Oh, we got Gears Eat. Oh man, being a Gears fan. Oh wait, I actually said that a long time ago. But Ted Price. Let's be honest for a second. Boom. Look at that dude's track record. And I know somebody, if they wanted to go find, when that happened, I said this is going to be one of the best purchases PlayStation ever made.
229 million seems like a steal in 2025.
It's like what I say about Obsidian. Now you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. Are they the ones making the Oblivion remake? I don't know. Interesting, but I mean, it's great to be here, and I think we got a lot to talk about, because at the end of the day, Sony needs to be in the gaming space, and I do not want them to fall to the wayside. But right now, it is not looking good.
Well, I mean, listen, Harky, we're gonna go right to you, man. Look, I know that there's gonna be some people in the chat. First of all, welcome, near 400 people already here. We're only a couple of minutes into the show, and that's a lot of people. We definitely appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us. Again, this could turn into a console war, finger pointing kind of conversation, but it's not going to. You know why? Because we're all professionals here. We're not journalists, but we do have big opinions, and I think it's safe to say, Hargy, that in the past, the minute Microsoft, effed up, if you will, there was calls for mismanagement. There was calls for Phil's job, almost on a regular basis, and I think what you saw happen during the Xbox One era is Microsoft got their teeth kicked in by the PS4. I mean, that's just a reality. Not only did they sell a ridiculous amount of consoles in the PlayStation 4 generation, but they had a lot of big first-party AAA bangers, and they had them in consistent years. If you look back to 2018, 2019, 2020, they had bangers. Now, maybe they're not for you. Maybe that third person over the shoulder type of game isn't your bag. And if it's not, that's fine. I hear you. It's why I own a PlayStation. But in the last, I don't know, 24 months, give or take, they seem to be, ice skating uphill. You've seen a lot of really bad investments. You've seen a lot of cancellations. You've seen a lot of studio closures. And we are now on the cusp of, just the other day, the Fortnite lookalike of MMO for Horizon was canceled, right? Ted Price is leaving the Insomniac Games, the studio that he founded in '94. Shuhei Yoshida, who was in charge of first party for 11 years, got demoted a couple years ago and sent to the basement where he was only dealing with indies because he wasn't falling in line. And we are on the cusp of a big company like Microsoft changing the game literally. And I'm not saying it to be facetious. I'm saying they're literally changing the game by doing something that an old guard like me would have never guessed in 100 guesses 10 years ago. And that's put Xbox games on PlayStation and Nintendo. And what we're starting to see is Sony tried to close ranks and it didn't work for them. The one gas game that they did see success, which was pretty good for them. I mean, they made a lot of money, but they didn't make money from PlayStation. They made money from the PC crowd in Helldivers 2. So again, just line up the dominoes, folks. Okay. There is a call for an emergency for something to be done at PlayStation. The Bungie acquisition was out of desperation. All right, that's a fact, and they've had is problems with Bungie since that $3.6 billion acquisition. The PlayStation VR 2 was so badly and so poorly received that during the Greg Miller interview, Shuhei Yoshida said, "Let's move on." He didn't even want to talk about it. These are millions and millions of dollars of investment, and I haven't even gotten the Concord yet. One of the worst launches in the history of gaming. Like, I compared it to like E.T. from the 80s. So when I put up on the screen, PlayStation has no games and it's because of mismanagement, I don't think I'm console warring. I think I'm actually saying a legit statement that needs to be addressed. And if you're a PlayStation guy or gal and you don't want to talk about it, I hear you. You're still welcome here, but don't put your head in the sand like the gaming media has, because all we've seen for the last couple of years when Xbox gets it wrong, we have people coming out writing stories after story after story. But when PlayStation does something that's anti-consumer, that's anti-market, right? That's anti-gaming establishment. It's no one says anything. No one even questions it. You do not see an article. Hargeet, let's try and make sense of this craziness because Sony is in a tailspin, and that's just the truth.
Look, I actually have been like predicting this for years because I saw the tea leaves. You could just see what they were doing, and you're like, the Jim Ryan era is not going to be good for Sony. It's just not. Like what he's doing just makes no sense, right? As the Sean Layden era kind of ended, and all those games he had greenlit kind of finished off, now you're seeing the outcome of Jim Ryan's era. And yeah, most of those games are just not going to come out. That's pretty sad. Look, they've also closed studios. That's the way it is. There's layoffs. There's probably going to be more layoffs. I don't know where they fix it. Now, here's the thing. I don't want you to think that PlayStation's dead. It's not. They have a very good brand name out there. I think people will continue to buy the console. They still have a huge catalog of third-party games. This is where we were like in 2014, right? Because we had games and then nothing because our studios went away. We had nothing, okay? And we were complaining and everybody would pile. But hey, we were very open about the fact that, hey, Xbox, you need games. Where are the games, right? And so they answered the call, right? It took a long time from that to get to where we are now, right? And now we're starting to get that train rolling of games, right? So this can get fixed. The problem, Microsoft can bankroll Xbox. Can Sony bankroll PlayStation through this headache?
No, it's the other way around, actually.
Right? That's the problem that they have now, right? You mentioned the thing about development cycle, right? It used to be, if you're a really crazy-ass team, 2-3 years, you get a game out, okay? And PlayStation Studios were doing that. They were kicking butt. They were doing that. That doesn't happen anymore. It takes too long. And because of that length of time, it gives opportunities for enthusiasm to shift. And the market can shift, right? And that's kind of the thing. And don't just think Xbox. Like Nintendo's putting out a console too, and that console is likely going to play all the third-party games. And if it can, you now have another entrant. And then there's this whole new arena of PC-based, handhelds and consoles that are coming, Steam OS, right? Stuff is happening there. We don't know if it's going to be easy for PlayStation to just continue to go down the path they're in. If there's other generations of stuff that brings more enthusiasm, that could be a problem for them. But let's just look at where they are. You could tell when they shifted to, hey, all of my IPs, all of them. This is what Jim Ryan did. All of the IPs, we're going to make them all into live games. Like, what? Why would you do that? But this is what he did. Like, and you could just tell he's not a gamer guy because you just don't do that. And any one of us could have easily told him that's going to fail. It never works. Shoehorn a single player team into making a multiplayer game, a live service game. It just doesn't work. They don't have the mentality. They know how to make stories. You're going to take that and just destroy it. It's just not going to work, right? It's almost never happened, right? So now you're going to tell me all your IPs, you're going to go do that. What I was really scared about was, will they destroy those studios that make those stellar games right now? We don't know. At this point, we don't know. They have cut Insomniac so much. I don't know what's left, right? So hopefully it's good. The leaked stuff we saw for Wolverine looks like crap.
It looks terrible.
That's not good news, right? So again, I don't know where that maybe that is just crap that has nothing to do with the actual game. We don't know, right? It's a leaked build of whatever. Maybe it was like an alpha, like early build or something like that. It's like, this is just asset grabs and we're just trying to make something and then we'll fix it all together and it's going to be totally different. Fine. Right. But we don't know if that's what the game looks like. It's junk. And that's not a good thing. But they did release Concord as one of their new big IPs and it massively flopped. Returnal didn't do numbers. Their games have in general gone down in sales. And that's what Shuhei was saying, not me, right? That's what they're seeing. Their games aren't selling. there are a lot of sequels, and the games just aren't there. And they say, hey, saying you have to buy the remasters for us to be able to afford to make these games.
Yep.
Well, what games? That's the first thing, right? A lot of your studios now resetting. They have to start again, or they've been shunted. Some of them just released games, right? So you're not going to expect, God of War was released, 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years?
Yeah.
2.5 years ago, in that range. You're not getting anything for a couple of years, right? That's not going to happen. It's going to be a while before they come up with something. Naughty Dog released in 2020. And so Intergalactic possibly in the next couple of years, right? That's a possibility for this generation, because now you have to also think PS5's gen is kind of coming to its tail end, right? So do you have games coming or not, right? So for this generation, are you kind of done? Are you going to get 3 or 4 more games? Is that basically it? All the while on the other side, both Nintendo and Xbox will continue to put out 8 to 10 games, if not more. They're just going to keep putting out games, right? And so you have that happening. And that's kind of the problem for them. It might be okay to put out 2-3 games a year, not when your competition puts out a lot more, right? So then you have to kind of match, and you either have to do something really high level, and maybe they do. Maybe they do that. That's fine. Maybe they don't. And that's kind of where they are, right? How do they sustain their business model? Right now, they live off of Xbox.
Yep.
It's just a fact. Right? That's not me saying it. That's them saying it. They live off, their profits come from Xbox, from Call of Duty, other games that Xbox puts on their platform, right? And they're putting more games on that platform, and that is going to help them hopefully stimulate their profits. This is just the way it is. So they kind of exist, they continue to exist on third parties, one of the bigger ones being Xbox. So that is a major thing for them. And what happens if Call of Duty shifts? This was the big question. We don't know what happens, right? If at some point Call of Duty players move over to Xbox, because it's an Xbox game, right? What if they do that? Their PlayStation Plus numbers will start to plummet, because most of the other games they play are free to play. You don't need to pay for online. That's going to be their problem. The big AAA games, they're in a bad state right now. We just got Dragon Age reveal. We got the numbers, 1.5 million sold. They were looking at 3. Didn't even hit that.
Didn't
right?
even get to the halfway mark. Barely got
AAA game. So this is kind of the thing we keep hearing. It's over and over again. Like, it's rare, like Black Myth Wukong. I don't know where, like 20 million or whatever that number it had, right? That's a one-off. The Hogwarts Legacy, one-off, huge, massive hit. There aren't a lot of games at that level that are making a lot. So this is just the world they're in, and that is where Sony is, right? That's what they were trying to fix. I don't know that you fix it the way they did, though, right? The problem of saying I'm going to forcibly say I'm going to make a Horizon large game, MMO, which apparently also got canceled, right? How do you know that's ever going to work? You're going to spend how much? The problem with their methodology was, I want to make a AAA level, high quality, high cinematics game and make it a live service game. So like, you have to get to crawl first. You're talking about marathon runs. That's not going to be the way it is. And I don't mean the pun with marathon the game. It's like, you can't get to that level until you figured out, part one. The best case they've had is Helldivers, where they had an IP, they tried, it worked. They said, hey, let's reiterate that and let's make it better. That works. That's what you do. Right. And that's how you can create a game that does have that chance to actually expand and become a successful live service game. That's what you do. You take a gamble on something different. They did it with Concord, but they spent hundreds of millions. Like, dude, no, don't do that. Find a way to make something in 20 million, 30 million, because that is not going to hit you as bad. If it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. That's the live service thing. You can't go crazy. If you're going to go crazy up front, it's going to be crazy. I don't know what lessons they learned. So Jim Ryan was saying he was going to learn from the mistakes of the past from live service games. It's like, what lessons were you learning? You learned the absolute wrong ones. You made all the classic blunders. So that's kind of where they are today. They're going to have a kind of dry roadmap for the next few years as they release onesie, twosie games here and there, and then revamp and try to get up there. They're not like, they don't have no, yes, not to the point of having no studios. They have a bunch of studios.
They have a bunch of them.
They're they just released their games now, and so they have a ways to go. And then the ones that were supposed to release in the upcoming years have all been canceled. So now you're kind of in trouble, right? So they will have to work that out. What they usually do, They go out and lock down games.
They money
They'll
had the
keep
deals.
doing
Yeah.
that. That's what they do. They money hack games. They thug their way into this. The thuggery will continue. They will go find some games to take away from everybody else. I don't know how much that continues as far as bigger publishers. I think those guys are done with that.
Yep.
But there are smaller games that are gonna say yes, right? If you're a startup, you're like, I need the cash. Yes, I'll take your cash. And I don't blame the developer. Like, whatever, fine. I get it, right? So some of them are just gonna go down that road. Fine. So that's what they're going to do. That's how they're going to sustain, right? That this year, I think the majority, if they have exclusives, I think the majority of them are third-party lockdowns. So that's what you get. Unfortunately, we'll continue to see that. That's going to keep them going. So it's not the end of PlayStation. It's the end of PlayStation's first party, though, the way you know it. And that's going to be a problem for them. Now, Herman keeping his job. I don't know if he keeps his job, right? All these failures at some point. Yeah, I mean, look, Jim Ryan maybe took the blame, but at some point you got to kind of blame Herman, right? He kind of owns this right now. If they have this many more cancellations, what's the next one? Is it going to work? Is it going to fail? If he gets another fail or two, I just don't see how he stays on. I'd be surprised he actually makes it to the next fiscal, which would be April this year. But if he does stay on, I think they're going to wait for a game or two and say, all right, you're out. Right? So something has to happen. Somebody's head has to roll, right? If you're going to have that much of a loss as far as productivity, a lot of this is money spent.
Yep.
Doing all those games and then canceling them is money spent that they got nothing in return. So this is just the way it is. It's too bad. It's a sad situation. I can pile on them. I've been piling on them. But ultimately, this is not a good place for PlayStation to be from a first-party output perspective. The one thing I like about them is some of their studios do make good games. I don't care about their platform at all because I don't like their platform. But that doesn't mean I want them to go away. And I certainly don't want their studios to go away because they make some good games. And I just engage with those games on PC, right? And that's fine. So, but like, I don't want the studios to go away. If that starts to happen, that's a problem, right? Now, the sustainability model is something they're going to have to figure out. I don't know how they do it. I really don't, because they tried both ways. Buy into it, Bungie, Concord, they bought into it. And then they've tried to do their own. And, but all they did was, let's take God of War and make that into something. Twisted Metal, which I thought would have worked. Spider-Man, Multiverses, I thought it would have worked, but they didn't do it. They canceled that too. A bunch of different games like that. They decided to cancel their own internal development ones, and they also bought, and that didn't work either. The one that did is Helldivers. That's their big bright spot. They've got Helldivers. I don't know if that's enough to offset all this. I doubt it. So that is kind of where they are. MLB The Show continues every year. We shouldn't discount that. It does continue to go every year, and it's there. It makes money for them. That's awesome. We get it in day-to-day Game Pass, which is awesome. But hey, it's still making money for them, right? That's kind of the state they're in. So I see them being in trouble from that perspective. I also want to point out, I'm seeing a lot more of the PlayStation-centric sort of community
calling them out,
realizing this. They're calling it out now.
Yeah.
Because at some point you have to, right? Because you can only, there's going to be some people who are so ridiculous that they will still say, oh, everything's great. Most of them are going to say, yo, I came here for the games, and the games ain't here. What's going on, right? If you're not going to give me games, why am I on your platform? And that is, it's a fair assessment, right? You have to eventually ask, why am I here, right? Is the ecosystem that much better? Not really. Is the console that much better? Okay, maybe. I don't know. This is kind of where we are, right? And so you have to ask, am I on the platform I want to be on because they're giving me something of value? And in gaming, it's about the games. And if they're not going to give them games, they're starting to call that out. So I'm seeing a lot more of that. I think that's a good thing. Hopefully, PlayStation does something to resolve this. They could double down and fail miserably. They still have fair games. I don't know where that's going to go. They still have Marathon. I don't know where that's going to go. Right. So there's still another Horizon multiplayer thing, even though they canceled the MMO. Again, we'll see if that does anything. We'll see where they go. Right. I still am concerned one of those studios bend or whatever else the many studios have been working on things. I think they're going to
Well,
close
Blue
one of those
Point
down.
was the other studio that
And
that had a
Fire
game.
Sprite was working on something.
They
I don't
were
know if there
gone.
still are. I like there's so there's all these studios. I don't know. We will see, right? There's a lot of stuff we don't know. There's a lot of supposition here. We're getting rumors about things that weren't announced that are being canceled, but then we also got confirmation about some things from Sony that were canceled. So it's kind of an odd place to be in, but I think there is more calling out of it. I agree with you, Boom. However, you don't see a massive amount of articles on the media side saying
No,
what
no
the
one's
F is
asking the
going on
questions,
with
man. That's what it comes down to,
PlayStation,
Hargeet. Yeah.
right? And what the F is going on with PlayStation. And I don't mind, by the way, calling out Xbox when they do stupid things. Fine. Do the same thing for everybody else.
Right.
Like PlayStation is in dire mode right now. You should absolutely be calling them out and saying, what is your strategy to get out of this? Why is everything like this right now? Right. And their communication on this has been abysmal as well.
Yep.
We have Ghost of Yotai and Intergalactic as the two things that we know about. Everything else we have rumored is Wolverine at some point. Right. That's it. This is kind of their roadmap. And they say, well, you need to come out and tell us, no, there's more. Don't worry, guys. There's more. And it's coming to PS5. Don't worry. Right. They're not doing that. And that's a fail on their end that they have to fix. So yeah, they're not in good spot. I don't know. This is I hate to pile on them. I'd rather just be happy about the Dev Direct happening tomorrow. I'd rather just be happy about the Switch announcement. We have to wait till April 4. But that's what I'm looking forward to. PlayStation, yeah, they have challenges. They have many challenges ahead. They have to figure out for themselves. And Hiroki, I'm looking at the company level. They're talking about emotion, Kondo, zero about games.
Yeah.
They're talking about movies, TV shows, anime, manga, PlayStation concerts, not talking about games. That's got to be something, right? That cannot be like they are purposefully doing that.
Right.
Why? There's got to be something behind that. So we'll see if they finally turn that around, right? If all they're doing is entertainment and the one entertainment vector they're not talking about is PlayStation games, you got to ask what's going on, right? So there's definitely some some things that are happening in the background. What they're going to do with it, I don't know. Over the next 6 months, year, 2 years, there's going to be some interesting stuff going on at PlayStation, but we'll see what they do with it, right? So I want to enjoy the Dev Direct tomorrow.
and you're going to be joining us tomorrow, folks, at 12:30 p.m. Hargeet, myself, Ham Solo, Korkenstein. We have a bunch of people joining us tomorrow for the Xbox Developer Direct. We're going to do a watch party. We're going to react to it live with you watching. Of course, we're going to hang around for about maybe 30 or 45 minutes after the show to kind of break down exactly what was there. The rumors have been flying fast and furious. There are games that we know are going to be there. There are a bunch of rumors of games that could be there. There could be upwards of 6+ games there, is one of the latest rumors that are floating around. And again, if you just go to your dashboard and you see the way it's set up, there's room for 2 more games. 3 that are announced, 1 the mystery game, which we all kind of think we know what it is, and the 2 mystery games. And what are those 2 mystery games? Is it both Final Fantasy 7 and 16? I don't know. Is it the Oblivion remake? I don't know. Is it? I mean, if you want to get crazy, maybe it's the Marcus Phoenix collection. I put it this way: Xbox gamers have a right to be excited. This year is probably going to levy one of the best first-party romps in platform history. If just based on what they have coming out, it's
we still have
astounding.
Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah. It's crazy. And again, Obsidian bookending the year, right? They're gonna have Avowed next month, which got the new trailer looks freaking amazing. And of course, at the end of the year, which would make more sense, you'd get the Outer Worlds 2, which is gonna be incredible. Look, PlayStation is not a brand that's dying. They're a brand that's in turmoil, internal turmoil, and their studios find themselves in a bit of a pickle. They were known for bombastic first-party single-player games that were of AAA budget, and they won all the awards. They were always in the high 90 percentile when they were reviewed. Their games were critically and commercially successful. But you know what? That is in the past. Let's deal with what we're working with right here, Crispy Bomb. And first, before I get to you, Crispy, I want to welcome in Kay Asante. Brother, great to have you here. Cannot wait to hear your hot take on PlayStation having no games, and it might be because of mismanagement.
Good evening. Good evening. No, I'm happy to be here. I apologize. I'm a little late. It's daddy daycare season, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Indeed,
life happens. It is.
It is what it is, brother. As long as everybody's good at home, we're happy to have you here. We'll bring you in a hot second to get your thoughts and your takes. But Crispy Bomb, I do want to bring you in because look, earlier during his conversation, Hargeet mentioned Bend Studios. Now, this is a great studio. They're known for a lot of big games, but no more infamous, if you will, than Days Gone, because Days Gone was a phenomenal game. And we all know what happened publicly about them being denied Days Gone 2. And the producer of that game came out and basically, called Sony to the carpet. One of the things that was interesting about that whole thing that transpired publicly with Bend Studios and Sony is they were going to be tasked as a support studio, and Ben said, that's not what we want. And it did appear that the livelihood of these great developers at Bend Studios was dependent on the success of this gas game, which, by the way, was just canceled. So what happens to Bend Studios? Do they become a support studio, or do they close them? And that's a scary disposition. But that's not, again, it's not the only problem with PlayStation. You have to understand they have a lot of studios. Now, they don't have as many as Xbox, Crispy Bomb. We all know that. And that's fine, right? But the studios that they do have were told by Jim Ryan that they were going to deviate from standard fare, which was known for these single-player, over-the-shoulder, story-driven, bombastic AAA games, to making gas games to fill a narrative, to chase a trend. That narrative has failed. They've canceled 9 of 12 games that were announced by Jim Ryan that were in development. So you have 9 canceled games. You have one that's a success. You can't argue. Helldivers 2 is a success, but unfortunately, it was muddled by the fact that 70 plus countries cannot play that game because of the PSN sign-in, right? So they stepped on some rakes there. Who bailed out Helldivers and made it a success? Well, it wasn't PlayStation Nation. It unfortunately was PC, where it launched day and date. And this is something that's going to happen moving forward. Their games may not come to Xbox. And I think at some point they're going to be desperate. They're going to have to put their games everywhere. How long that takes, I have no idea. But they're definitely going to be doing day and date on PC with their games moving forward. But again, that's not the only problem, because the problem is that the 2 games that are left, which is Marathon by Bungie, has been in development hell for years. And Fair Games, we saw once, right? We saw once at one of their shows. It was a CG trailer. It looked like Payday, and we have not heard anything from Jade Raymond Studio since. Because again, you heard what Grubb said over the weekend. Concord spooked Sony so much that they went to start canceling these games. They're like, you know what? We got to get out of this business. And that reset is going to cost Sony years of development time. You may not get the next God of War for the next 4 years, if there's going to be a God of War. Again, is there going to be a new Uncharted? It's unlikely, because Galactic, Galactic is the next big one from that studio. They are going to be money-hatting games left and right. I know I saw somebody in the chat put something about the Blade Zero, which looks really good. Like, that looks phenomenal. But that's a money-hatted game. That's not Sony first party. Let's not get it twisted. And the question that I unfortunately going to have to now this they're going to have to pose for the PlayStation gamers: are you actually going to buy it? Because you didn't buy Astrobot, you didn't buy any of the games that came out like Rise of the Ronin, you didn't buy Stellar Yams, right? We know it sold 1 million, but did it sell 2 million or 3 million? I don't know because the company's not talking about it. Sony's not talking about it. I think that what we're seeing here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, a perfect storm where Sony, they're not going out of business. PlayStation is not going third party. There's going to be a PlayStation 6, even though some people think otherwise, and that's fine. But if the PlayStation 6 is the PlayStation 5 with more power, and the next Xbox is a PC underneath your TV, Sony is going to be in trouble. And I think that this lack of games, this lack of direction, this lack of leadership, this mismanagement, if you will, is telling a tale that I don't think that the media wants to address. And it's pretty crazy that when Xbox farts, it's world news. When PlayStation is completely tripping up all over the place, have no roadmap, have no direction, in a complete tailspin, it's nothing. Let's get your thoughts, man.
I just look, man. Like I actually want to go after this first, real quick. Like say it again, nine games that canceled.
9.
I mean, what are we talking? Like, is like the whole media just all Sony fans? I mean, yeah, we got Windows Central out here throwing some stuff out here. We got the Verge throwing some stuff out here and there. What are we doing? It's like Sony's not Nintendo, okay? Like, especially for like an OG like me, like Nintendo, like they do their thing. They laughed at Microsoft. I love it still to this day. I think it's hilarious that they laughed at them and they are still going. Okay, like they have a hill to stand on. They stand on it and they put out. I mean, they're games. We're talking about games. Are they? Hyper realistic? Are they magical? Or do they hit you in the tushy and be like, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread? No, they don't. But they bring out games. They are fun. People enjoy them, no matter what shape or size, what you are as a human being, who you think is great. They do that, okay? And they also, in my opinion, still to this day, saved gaming. Okay? Gaming in general, if you grew up when I did. And I'm sure every person on this panel, maybe some of you in the chat, you don't understand. So we do give Nintendo a little pass for bringing out remakes and remasters. But they kind of just rebrand it and say, no, this isn't the remaster. This is a new game. You understand? You look at Sony and you say, why did you cancel all of them? That's my problem with it. Okay. Is it just changing leadership? Is that what we're looking at? Because, I mean, I understand that. But that doesn't mean that you take all of your hands out of that one, MMO / gas game cookie jar and you just pull your hand out and you're like, oh, that hurt. It burned. Really? Because of one game? I mean, didn't we go this as recently? And trust me, there's been many other games with Xbox. Didn't we go through this with Redfall? Isn't there a place for a developer that can just do single player games? Isn't there a place for a developer that has this multifaceted aspect to them that says, oh, I can do multiplayer and single player? Isn't there a place for a company that says, you know what, I could actually make a really great MMO? I mean, Twisted Metal, come out with a TV show, let's cancel that. But let's leave Fair Games out here. Let's leave Concord out here. Oh, SOCOM hasn't been touched in 10 plus years. Let's leave that out there. Say, oh, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're never going to acknowledge SOCOM again. Even though for at least us OGs, I mean, for me, that was one of the first multiplayer games online I've ever played in my life. And it was amazing then. And it will probably be pretty amazing now. What are they doing? And then you see stuff like, I'm sorry, like the Ted Price thing. I might be with King David now. Boom. I'm going to be honest with you. Because that, I'm going to tell you, Insomniac has carried
Yes.
this generation, man. It really has. Look, it's not games for me. That don't mean it's not games for other people.
Of course.
Okay? It didn't make me buy. I know what Ratchet and Clank is. I played it on the PS2. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like that Spider-Man thing, it's like, man, if you put Spider-Man on Xbox, you're going to sell another 5 million plus. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And that's selling. Like you don't have to put it in Game Pass or nothing. You will sell at least 5 million. Just do it already. Look, we have had this argument for a long time. You know, what is right and what is wrong? You know, Microsoft, they want their money. Okay. We have already acknowledged that purchase of Activision just changed the whole dynamic. We understand that, but they are pivoting quite well. Look, Sony guys, you are getting Doom the Dark Ages. They already told you, and I hope you buy the hell out of it. But don't sit here and act like we don't have games either. And that's the problem. What does PlayStation do? I mean, MLB The Show, it's on there. It sells more on Xbox. Isn't that weird?
And it's in Game Pass, no less, which is even more weird.
It's just weird, okay? Like, we have to understand, like, you know, us Xbox guys saying this stuff, they just think we're just fanboys. And me, like, I played on PS2 for like 10 plus years, man. You know, I bought every, you know, the multi-adapter with the, you know, you could basically connect 6 controllers. We play freaking NBA Live or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it just have some fun, man. And that's what we did. And that's where I say PlayStation has went from, you know, we're going to be a little weird to we're going to be all the way weird. And then, no, we're not going to be weird at all. We're going to go exactly the way you want. But yet those games that exactly the way, you know, the stands want is they don't buy them. So where are we at? Because at the end of the day, I might not buy the game, but I'm paying them to develop games because I have a subscription. And it's a worthy subscription because I get day and date games. Okay? So what are they doing? And I don't, and this is the problem. This is the worst part of it. I don't think Sony even knows what they're doing. I really don't. The way they're releasing people and trying to change things, that at the end of it, is it going to be good or bad? And I think Sony is at the point where they don't know. And that's why you see, because they make, you know, some of the movies are great. Some of the TV shows are really good, actually. Their TV shows, I think, are, you know, they could make a streaming service if they wanted to for TV shows instead of just going all anime, because that's what it seems like they're doing. Have that difference. Have, you know, a little bit of here, a little bit of there. Hopefully they learn that, because I've said it before, I'll say it again. I have played these games for decades. Okay? I had stopped playing because you stopped giving me stuff that I want. That doesn't mean it's not for what you want as a gamer, what I want. Okay? And Microsoft's like, we could do all that. But nobody gives them credit. Instead, they, like you said, they fart. Guess what? They crap their pants. Okay? That's the way this media is acting. And it's a disservice to Sony because they need to hear some feedback for these media companies just be all in with them. And that's what it feels like. I'm sorry. Like, we can't sit here and act like all the BS that Jeff Keighley talked and posted about Xbox, but none of this. And he's the end all be all. He's the Game Awards guy. Okay. What are we doing? All right. Like, I want gaming to move forward regardless of where it goes. All right. I want people to be a little weird and do some wild things. And I feel like Xbox is on the cusp of just doing something that they can do. But PlayStation was there for decades, people. Like, maybe you're not old enough. They've been weird. What happened? Where are we going? And really, I feel like I'm watching something die in front of me, and I want to just shake them. And I want to be like, come on, you have it in you. You've done it before. Where are we?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I don't want them to go anywhere.
I don't think they're going to go anywhere, Crispy. I think what you're seeing is a shock. They're look, on paper, they're the market leader. And listen, make no mistake, PlayStation is one of the most recognizable brands in the world. It just really is. But that does not make it, it's not an excuse for poor mismanagement and leadership. And that's what they have right now. I love it, Hargeet, with the slander. Yes, R.I.P. DOA. Concord.
But like, look at that. Okay, like, if you're gonna back, like when Herman should have already been fired. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, look at that. Okay, like he was like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I'm like, what is this? Like, this looks like Overwatch. Like back in the day when
that's another good one.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. Like, these things, you can't push out everyone. Like, especially if you're going to pivot back. And this is the concern I have for them.
Well,
you're going to pivot back,
yeah.
and then you're gonna go from all gas games to no gas games. Where's the in between? Like, yeah, you got fair games out there. You got a couple, but there's not much. And then you destroy IPs like Twisted Metal. Like, I'm telling you, like, what car game like Twisted Metal that couldn't do an MMO right now? Like, think about it. We got, what are we going to get? Vigilante 8? Like, and now I'm disappointed because I don't think that's going to happen for Microsoft. They have never talked about it. We're never heard nothing about it. So what, Destruction, what we got? Destruction All-Stars? How long did that last? No. Twisted Metal's an IP that you could have done this with. And it's just, and then to tell us you cancel it, and Spider-Man playing with other people, you know what I'm saying? I think would be amazing. And that's where I say, like, why go from, so you have your foot in the hell, I'm going all gas. And then you go all the way, you just slide down the hill and you're like, no, we're going all single player again. Where does it stop? And I think that's something that the people that only play on PlayStation need to understand. Like, which way are you? Are you just going to play Call of Duty? Are you going to play Doom the Dark Ages? Are you just going to fund Microsoft now? And you're going to laugh at us and say, oh, you're bringing games over here? Yeah, we already knew that. Okay? So where are you at? Because if you invested in the PlayStation, especially recently, I mean, they sold a ton. I'm not taking that away from them. They sold a ton. But what are you giving the consumer when you sold a ton? And now I think there's, some people that may have gotten the console recently saying, what is going to happen? I don't know. And they're actually not happy about it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of questions. Hargeet, do me a favor. Bring back the other picture that you had Herman Holtz on, because I want to read that specifically for Kay Asante, where we talk about mismanagement. Now, mind you, this statement, thanks to Hargeet, is from Herman Holtz regarding Concord. This is what he said, folks. Concord might be one of the greatest multiplayer games of the modern era. This has the potential to overtake Horizon as PlayStation's most important franchise of all time. Expect to see a lot more Concord in the future. Herman Holtz, currently, co-CEO of Sony, of PlayStation. Look, again, this is not console warring, folks. I know that we have a lot of people here from PlayStation that are throwing up numbers. I know one gentleman said something about, an exclusive is an exclusive is an exclusive. What does Xbox have? Listen, dude, I hear you. PlayStation has a lot of really cool exclusives. There's no doubt about it. The problem is with these money hat deals, you find folks aren't buying them. Maybe you are. Maybe a couple of people in the chat are. That one guy said he platinum both Stella Yams and the Rise of the Ronin. That's awesome. Good for you, man. That those are two. I'm sure those platinums were pretty difficult to get, so you should be proud of yourself. But the problem with these money-hatted exclusives, it's not the answer. It is a short-term fix. It's like putting a Band-Aid on something that needs liquid skin or a stitch or 7, because the Band-Aid's just going to fall off and you still have this gaping hole. That is PlayStation right now. And I know that a lot of people do not want to admit that there's a problem, but just read the room. I'm not saying read the room from an Xbox point of view, just as a consumer, read the room. Because the problem I see with Sony is they don't have a roadmap. They put out a PlayStation 5 Pro that did not need to come out and did not sell well. And you know why it didn't sell well? Because they're not talking about it. Whenever they don't talk about numbers, it's because something did not meet expectations. The minute something does, they are through the room. Jeff Keighley is tweeting about it 15 times in a day because that's the rah-rah guy right there. Kay Asante, look, no roadmap, Concord failure, more cancellations, and I think that the man, I don't even know how to put it. You have two legendary leaders in Shuhei Yoshida and now Ted Price announcing his retirement from Insomniac Games, which he founded in 1994, is more bad press for Sony. Again, is there going to be someone to step up for Ted Price? I would imagine that there's a partner or there's someone that he's confident about putting in place that's going to be as thought-provoking as he was as a leader, but that's still a massive leader leaving at a time where PlayStation finds themselves in a bit of a tailspin. I want to get your hot take on some of the concerns for development moving forward, because again, you're talking about full-on studios, 100, 200, 500 people went from, okay, we're all in on first party. No, stop what you're doing. You guys and gals, we want multiplayer games. We got to make gas games. We got to make money. Those are canceled. Okay, go back to first party. Let's hear ideas. And now these people are going to have to pitch ideas. You're not going to turn these gas games into single player games. It's not cut and paste. Okay, Asante, what are your thoughts, man?
No, I agree with you that there's some issues to be taken with all of this. A time or two we come and we discuss gaming and we discuss the various platforms and their issues. And right now, I would definitely say, there needs to be an accounting held on the PlayStation side a bit more than normal. I would say that what's happening, what worries me is, it seems like the media is giving them not a pass, but they're softballing them to the point where they're not getting criticism, which usually hones a company into something good based on user feedback, right? And it looks like they're not taking them to task enough to where that process can happen. So by the time that there are issues, they're a little further down the line with multiple failures or multiple cancellations in this instance, right? As you were saying, what will that mean for us gamers? It just means a lot more money hats going to go down the pipe, right? We shall see what they look like, right? As you were describing, there are a few that they still have in the pipeline, which will be interesting. I lucky enough got my hands on Phantom Blade Zero earlier last year. And I can attest, it is an amazing game. Like
it looks amazing. The new trailer that they dropped, I think today, looks phenomenal. I'm buying that game.
There you go. When it comes out, it will take gaming by storm. It will. I stand on my square in saying it'll bring the attention levels of Black Myth Wukong to this property. It's really, really good. But besides that, they don't have any first parties. They won't have any first parties for quite some time, because many of them have had to stop their processes. They've had to quit their existing development processes that they were doing. So yeah, I mean, what will this mean? This will just mean that for us gamers, they're going to rely far more on their sneak move, the move that they are so good at, which is obfuscating the truth, which is, hey, we got nothing for you, but hey, here's a bunch of money hats. We hope you enjoy them, right? Which for a while has worked for them. So
Yeah.
That combined with their pedigree and their legacy of excellence, that might ride them through, right? But there will be some of us within the hardcore spaces, within the ecosystems that really pay attention to this stuff, that will be calling for their heads. As same thing happened on the Xbox side. Now it's clearly PlayStation side. I think a far more thing that we should all be worried about collectively as gamers ourselves, is that the media is softballing them and not giving them that righteous criticism that tends to keep companies on the straight path, right? Like it keeps companies on the path. Hey, this is a good look. Maybe you need to work on this. Maybe you need to work on that. Look at Hargeet and his face. That is hilarious, sir. Do not do that. It's too much, right? It just seems like, because, and I mean, I could speculate as to why it is this way, but for one reason or another, it seems that they are softballing PlayStation and they're in their way. So when there are issues, they're not called out correctly. They're not called out accurately. They're not, like you said, where are the articles? Where are all these things? They're just that's not happening on their side. And that is leading to them making further mistakes down the line. And I hope that does not continue.
I mean, look, no one is asking on this panel for the media to do what they continuously do to Xbox. Like I said, when Xbox steps on rakes, and I think this is very clear, you have more Xbox guys and gals who are content creators stepping up to call them out for their BS. It doesn't matter what the BS is, whether it means something like, for instance, Fuzzy Belvedere was in his feelings the other day regarding you being able to purchase all of the car packs that you missed. And if you owned some of the car packs, they had like this big bundle deal. And on PC, on Steam, if you owned the some of the car packs, the price would be reducted from the overall package price. But they didn't extend that to Xbox. How does that make sense? So he called him out, and I second the notion. And I tagged in Phil Spencer. I tagged in Sarah Bond. I tagged in Aaron Greenberg, because that's unacceptable behavior. How does it work on PC where you're going to give people a discount and you're not going to give your console players the same discount? That to me seems wrong. The one thing that I will have to say, and I don't think I'm going on a line here, is that a lot of the PlayStation content creators, and maybe that's changing now, like Hargeet said, he's starting to see some pushback with some of them, and that's true, and I've seen some of it. But for the most part, if we're just being honest and we're talking about the games media absolutely refuses to acknowledge that this problem is happening, and that there's been potentially 10 games, because someone said it in the chat. I have it on my score, on my bingo card. It's 9 games canceled so far. And shout out to Abacab72, which, by the way, on his birthday, or I think right before his birthday, broke 1 million gamer score. That's ridiculous, brother. I've been Xbox gaming for years, and I'm only at 400, just a pinch under 400,000. That's dedication. 1 million gamer score for Abacab72. Congratulations, brother. That is dope. But I think, look, again, now you case on that you weren't here. The show's going to go on for about another 10 minutes. I'm going to close it down a little earlier today, folks, and I apologize. We have almost 1,000 people watching live. Mrs. Boom is sick. She's had a migraine all day, and the last couple of hours has not been good. So I don't want to leave her on alone, but she refused to. I was going to cancel the show altogether. She refused. She was like, no, do the show. I'll be okay. So I am doing the show. We talked about some things. We're going to, go on another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go and take care of the misses. And then, of course, we're back tomorrow for the festivities, because tomorrow's supposed to be a big day for Xbox fans. But the thing is this. This isn't a console war podcast. I don't think anyone here said anything disingenuous or facetious in any way. I don't think anyone's trying to pile on the rabbit, so to speak. And if you're a Bugs Bunny fan, you know exactly what I am talking about. This is, hey, what's going on with PlayStation? Because if Xbox was doing this, and they have found themselves in a position just like this, and they took years to course correct. And in the PlayStation 4 era, got the boot on the neck from PlayStation. That is just the facts. PlayStation had the console sales. They had the numbers. They had Call of Duty. They had first party. They had third party deals and exclusives. Everybody wanted to hang out with Sony because it was the cool box. And Microsoft took, listen, they got their ass handed to them as plainly as I can say it. And that ass whooping that they got is why they bought Bethesda. It's why they bought Activision, and it's why they have so many they have more first party games coming out this year than any one year in console history. And on top of that, not that it matters to me, because again, I'm here for Game Pass, and I'm here for the platform that I support. They're putting more of their first party games on PlayStation and Nintendo than we've ever seen happen before in our lifetimes, especially if you're an OG like me. And they have officially become the biggest publisher. Now, for some PlayStation guys and gals, you somehow won. Okay, $76.43 for every game that you buy. Good for you. I don't have to pay that. It's in my service. And then on top of that, we hear about, oh, no, they got exclusives. They got money hats. You know what? Good for you. How long that lasts, and how many of you folks are going to buy it? Because you know what? There's a lot of talk in the PlayStation community. They play Twitter more than they play games. Just look at Astrobot. Game of the generation. Game of the universe. 1.5 million copies sold. Who's to blame? You, PlayStation gamers, because I bought it. And I put 50 hours into it. What about you? So, again, I don't think we're console warring. I think we're asking some legitimate questions. I think that everyone here so far has had amazing points of view. I am going to say, and shout out to Aris EMS for the call out. Listen, folks, the name calling, we don't tolerate that here. I know Lethal Papa's here, and I know a couple of people have already been banned for, and again, not because they were PlayStation dudes. They were just assholes. And they were, you come into the chat and you want to have an opinion, it's great. You want to ask for numbers, great. We'll try to oblige you. You start to get to be a bit of a pain and you start to disrupt the chat, I'm just going to ban you because I don't need you. I don't need your sub. I don't need your watch. I don't need your like. You can thumb down. You can thumb down the podcast. It's fine. We don't stand for that here. We're here to have fun. We're here to talk about gaming, and we're here to be mature men and women. Okay, love your platform, but call them to the carpet when they're not delivering. Xbox has delivered in spades. PlayStation has shit the bed. That's just the truth of the matter. Sorry, folks, if you don't like it. But let me catch up on Super Chats, and then we'll get everyone's final thoughts. We'll get everyone out of here. J-Mac drops a very generous $2 Super Chat and says, hashtag Sony is dead. Hashtag Sony got no games. Hashtag Graybeards. Xbox World Order is real. Indeed it is. And my good friend, Big Mad Mo, who's been a channel member for 33 months, goes on to say this. Shout out to the panel. Concord scared them shitless. Now they're canceling everything. Hashtag boot on next season is in full effect. Hashtag Xbox invades enemy territory. Indeed. J-Mac drops an additional, very generous $5 super chat. And he says PlayStation had backed themselves into a corner. They have to money hat to sustain exclusivity, which makes it hard for them to fund first party. Hashtag bit of a pickle. I mean, look, Shuhei had no, and please, folks, go watch that interview with Greg Miller. I want to say it's probably Greg's best work. Like, he was talking with a friend of his, and we know they're good friends. 2 hours of just one-on-one conversation with him and Shuhei. It was great. But I think one of the most telling aspects of Shuhei's commentary was, hey, if you want first-party development, you as the gamer have to support remakes and remasters on PC and on console. That should have told you all you needed to know about Sony's current financial situation. Now, they're not poor. They're not going out of business tomorrow. PlayStation is still going to be around. They're still selling consoles. But if the former head of first party, who was then demoted for him not following the rules at Sony Interactive Entertainment and was sent down to the dungeon of indie games, is telling you that in order for us to develop first party moving forward, you have to buy remasters and remakes on both PlayStation and PC, you should be concerned as a consumer of that brand. Sorry, that's just the reality. Abacab72 has been a channel member for a whopping 37 months, says, hey guys, here today for my level update. Happy birthday, brother. You're 53 years old. That's great, dude. And he also, there it is, folks. He hit 1 million gamer score a couple days ago. Congratulations, brother. That's big news. 1 million gamer score. So now you are one of the men of 1 million. That is awesome. You have joined the Randall Thor Club. I know a lot of people have 1 million gamer score. I don't. Sorry, I'm only at just a pinch under 400,000. But Iron Templar drops a very generous $2 super chat and says that I can't read that, brother. He says something about Colin Moriarty, and I listen. I appreciate the $2 super chat, brother. I cannot read that. That's unacceptable conversation. Colin is a self-made man. I agree with Colin about 0.01% of the time. I do not agree with him. I used to be a big supporter of his channel. I loved what him and Greg did at IGN. I loved what they did at Kind of Funny. But he's a Sony guy. Like he's a Sony guy through and through. Does it make him an evil man? No, it just makes him somebody that I don't listen to anymore because his opinions are a bit radical when it comes to PlayStation. And the minute he said, I was watching live when he said it, or not live, on YouTube when he said it, that less is more, and that that only released one game a year is good for PlayStation. I have not listened since, and I refuse to listen any further because that's just horseshit. Mark in the chat drops a very generous $10 super chat and says he has a rant here. Astrobot was praised on VR1 and VR2. He says VR1. VR2 fans are really hoping for an Astro VR2 mode, but no. VR2 owners boycotted it. VR streamers who watched the new Astro trailer were gutted. Astro would have sold more. Look, they abandoned it. Again, that's one of those things that
absolutely they did.
They literally picked up their ball from the court and just went home. And anyone that bought it, which I didn't, and I know it was KSante wanted to, but that price point was ridiculous. It was more than the console itself that you needed to play it. And look at it now. They dropped it for They dropped $300 from $650 to $350. And did it sell? I don't know because I wasn't buying it. Again, when it goes to when I find it on the shelves of 5 and below, I'll pick it up.
Oh my god!
Until it reached there, a Dollar Tree, I'm not picking it up because Sony killed their own VR headset, which by the way is a really nice piece of tech, and they just abandoned it. So yeah, if they're not going to support their own tech, I'm not going to support it. And I love VR. I use it every day. Sith Lord drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, I hope Mrs. Boone feels better soon. Yeah, me too. She is not doing good. I can tell you that right now. This migraine is whooping her ass. Splendiferous drops not one but two $2 super chats. He says Redfall is still playable. Did you guys know that? Yes, and I actually rolled the third character. It may not be game of the universe, and a lot of people didn't like it. I actually very much enjoyed it for what it was. Yes, it had a lot of problems, but I rolled 3 characters. Sorry, I have over 80 hours into it, and I enjoy the shit out of it. Splendiferous drops an additional $2 super chat. Says Concord is not, sorry guys, bad or good, we play. I mean, you're not wrong. And lastly, Game Shark drops a very generous $2 super chat and says thank you for showing Class Boom. Listen, no. Look, we do these things here on a weekly basis. I roll a show 5 days a week because I love you and you guys and gals in this community more than I have words for. I'm so appreciative of the fact that I'm here doing a hobby that I love and I get to talk about it 5 days a week, and people actually show up to hear what I have to say. That is unbelievably it's an unbelievable situation I find myself in. That's why I don't take it I take this stuff super serious. But what I also take very serious is how people conduct themselves in the chat. Now, granted, I did curse a little bit tonight, and it's not like I don't drop F-bombs because I really don't like to do that. I use the S word and again, I abbreviate. I don't normally like to curse, but what I will not stand for, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't care if you are a person that drops super chats. I don't care if you're a channel member. I don't care if you're new. I don't care if you're old. People in this chat need to treat each other with respect. If you don't have the same opinion, I get it. But again, shout out to Aris EMS for calling calling it out. There's no reason for name calling. There really isn't. And again, there was some verbiage that I banned a couple of people for. I will not stand for it, especially when you start talking about certain things. You're going to get banned. Have an opinion. Come in, hang out, even if it differs from somebody in the chat, if it even differs from, Hargeet, from Kayasante, from me, or from Crispy, or whoever's on the panel, that is okay. But to be a D, no, we're not going to stand for it. We'll just ban you, and I'll just lose a sub. It's fine. I lose you. I'll lose 5 subs this evening. I'll get 10 more tomorrow. It's fine. It's the way the business works. I don't call people out by name usually because I don't want to embarrass anybody. And I like to run and I appreciate the kind words. We enjoy running this panel and the shows with class and integrity. So thank you so much for the generosity, brother. Listen, folks, again, normally this show goes on. I had written a whole other show, but Mrs. Boom is just not well. I want to get everyone out of here so I can get to go taking care of her. Arky Chani, tomorrow you're going to be hanging out with me. I'm gonna tonight when Mrs. Boom is sleeping, I'm going to get all the links sent out to everybody. Tomorrow's going to be a triumphant day for Xbox fans because there is rumors of 6+ games potentially being shown. 3 we already know, and they all look amazing. There are some rumors about Ninja Gaiden, the Oblivion remake. There's some talk about potentially a super surprise in the form of the Gears of the Marcus Phoenix collection, which I don't think that is going to happen, but you just never know. Listen, tomorrow is going to be very exciting. It's something that it's the first big show of the year, and Xbox is leading the charge as they've been doing the last couple of years. Let's sell your brand. First of all, Hargi Chani, guess what, folks? Smart man, not on social media, but you can find him on Discord. You can find him on Xbox if you want to message him there. And of course, he wrote a book last year called Emergence. You should definitely check it out if you are a fan of Mass Effect. And he also, besides being on like 17 podcasts, he has his own YouTube channel that you should subscribe to because, well, he puts out great content. Hargeet, sell the brand, brother. Talk about it.
Sure. So you can catch me on Discord and Xbox H Chani. My YouTube channel is Hargeet Chani 1. If you want to subscribe, go ahead. As Boom mentioned, you can get my book at shop.chani.us, Emergence. And then, we'll be on tomorrow. I just want to make people not think that there's going to be 6 games or anything. It's just even the 4 that they've announced. That's going to be enough, guys. It's going to be fun just really to look at the games that they've already got listed there. That's going to be awesome. Let's enjoy it. We'll have fun with it. And then, after that, I'll be on with C-Buddy and Doodle on Friday. We'll talk about it some more. And, of course, I do my normal weekend shows. We'll get into more of that tomorrow. But let's have fun tomorrow. I hope we get the heck out of here so you can go take care of me.
I definitely appreciate it. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be great. May 10th. I'm not May 10th. May 15th apparently is Doom, which you have Avowed in February, right? There's rumors and will the insider Broke Boy Lewis, who I don't know if was in the chat, I think I did see him there, had ordered the collector's edition that came with the vinyl record for South of Midnight, and it said releasing in April. So you could get a South of Midnight in April. You could get Expedition 33 in maybe that happens in March. So you have February,
Expedition
March.
33 has a release date. It is in June. It's June 30th.
Oh, it's June.
Adam Fall is March. I think South of Midnight's going to be April. We already have potential for May for Doom, right? So we've got a packed lineup that just keeps going.
What a
right?
lineup!
So
What a lineup. Oh, yeah, there he is. I see you, Will Proy. E-Ranks, what's going on, brother? Nice to see you here. But Crispy Bomb, brother, I'm not sure if you're joining us tomorrow. If you are,
I am.
Oh, that's
I
right. He is
am
joining
off.
us. He is.
This is my week off. I'm actually like so happy because I feel like look, it's not a showcase, people, but I think we got something. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't even have to look farther than what they've announced because I think South of Midnight is gonna hit hard to some
It's
people.
going to be a big deal. Yeah.
And I mean, it's Doom. And I want to caution people. The dude that is doing the soundtrack for Doom the Dark Ages
Isn't that Trent
is
Reznor?
the apprentice
Oh, okay.
of Mick Gordon. It might be Trent Reznor.
Okay.
No. He was the original apprentice.
Oh, wow.
Mick said in his statement, I am leaving, but also I'm leaving a lineage.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you right now, I think Doom is going to blow the socks off people. And I've said this in other podcasts, but I think tomorrow is going to be a really good day. Sure, could I get surprised? Could you have some tears in my eyes? You know, if the Phoenix collection comes out, absolutely. But I'm going to be there. And also, I mean, Breakfast of Boom, you want me on? Boom, let me know. I mean, maybe it'll be good. Maybe I'll give
we're gonna
Xbox
be doing
all the ish in the world because trust me, I am good for that. I will absolutely call them out. But you know, it's at Christian Bomb on X, Christian Bomb 28 Xbox Live, and you can find me. And you know, I guess I'm just a BoomStick exclusive. So wherever I show up, I show up.
Well, it's great to have you here to drop your bars, and everyone did a great job. Lastly, Kay Asante, brother, let's get you on out of here. Sell the brand of the Gaming Circle podcast. And I would imagine that this Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you and the Needless One, or maybe they've grown back, Everborn Saga will be breaking down everything that will happen and has transpired for tomorrow's show. It is expected to be, you know, you and I have been talking in the background. We kind of know some things that we're not talking about publicly. It's going to, listen, folks, tune in. I will say that. Sell your brand, brother. Where can people subscribe and, more importantly, follow you on social media?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you once again for having me again. I was late. Life happens.
Indeed,
wife is on a trip, so I'm dealing with a bunch of kids in my house. It is what it is. Anyway, actually, beyond this weekend, beyond the fact that we're going to be breaking down all the great stuff that happens at the Dev Direct, we also will be joined by the great The Fox. If you are a follower of his stuff, he is, we call him Handheld Jesus. All things handhelds. He's the man online when it comes to that stuff. So much so that we always like to pick his brain. So he'll be joining us over the weekend, and we'll be talking about that purported Xbox handheld and how it'll look and how it may work and things like that. So we're excited to talk to him. So catch us this Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, GCP. More to come on that. Follow me on the socials, and you'll know when that goes live. But yes, thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it very much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We had almost 1,000 people watching live across Twitch, which we actually got a couple new subs on Twitch, which is crazy, right? Like, who thought? Who would have thunk it? A lot of people watch on X. A lot of people watch on YouTube. If you missed my Ninja Gaiden video that went up, it's almost at 10K, which is freaking crazy for this small channel. I'm so proud of that video. Again, it's just part of the podcast, but I cut it down where it flows really nice. It's just a pinch under 20 minutes. It breaks down why, and you know, some details as to why I think it's going to be there. I will leave it there. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the super chats and channel memberships that continue to come in that allow for Mrs. Boom and I to do the big giveaways. Last year we gave away $4,500 and I think $41. It was a lot of. We gave almost $4,600 away, and we can't do any of that without you fine folks. We take the super chats, the channel memberships, and we do pack them away. And towards the end of the year, when we get into the holiday season, we run forward to give as much as we can. And we thank you guys and gals for allowing us to be able to do that. Those big giveaways would not be a thing if it wasn't for you. And of course, we are 397 subs away from 16K. So I'm hoping that we can get that in the next couple of weeks. We're going to keep pushing the envelope. We're going to keep burning the midnight oil. We're going to keep doing the live shows and the videos and the shorts. And if you are someone that did find the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. And of course, hit the like button before you get on out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Goodbye to Concord, and we'll see you on the next episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.